You're doing everything right. The salads, the gym, the calorie counting. But every morning, the scale says the same thing. It's not working. You're exhausted. Your brain feels like it's underwater. You snap at people you love. And here's what nobody is telling you. The diet itself might be the thing destroying your progress. Today, I'm going to show you something most doctors won't mention and most fitness influencers don't understand. A single hormone that is simultaneously making you gain weight, shrinking your brain, and driving you toward depression. It's called cortisol. And by the end of this video, I'll give you a specific 5-day protocol to break free from its trap. Here's how the trap starts. You decide to lose weight. You Google a diet plan. The internet tells you it's simple math. Eat less than you burn. So you slash your calories, white-knuckle through hunger. And for the first 2 weeks, it actually works. Then week 3 hits like a wall. The weight loss stalls. Your energy craters. Your mood tanks. You crave sugar like it's oxygen. And the worst part? The weight starts coming back, even though you're still starving yourself. Let me show you what this actually looks like on a random Tuesday. 6:30 a.m. You wake up exhausted because cortisol kept you wired until midnight. You skip breakfast because you're being good on your diet. 10 a.m. Your brain is screaming for sugar, so you grab a muffin from the break room and immediately feel guilty. 3 p.m. You're foggy, irritable, and you snap at a coworker over nothing. 7 p.m. You're too drained to cook, so you order takeout. You eat it on the couch feeling like a failure. 11 p.m. You lie in bed scrolling your phone, stressed about tomorrow, too wired to sleep. And cortisol is running the entire show. Sound familiar? This isn't a failure of willpower. This is biology, and it happens to roughly 80% of dieters, according to research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. The question is, why? Your body runs on a 200,000-year-old operating system. When your ancestors faced a predator, their adrenal glands released cortisol, a hormone that floods your bloodstream with glucose for quick energy, raises your heart rate, sharpens your focus, and tells your body to store fat around your midsection as an emergency energy reserve. Think of cortisol like your home thermostat. When it's cold, the heat kicks on, warms the house, then shuts off. That's healthy cortisol. It spikes during a stressful event, does its job, then drops back to normal. Now, imagine your thermostat is broken and stuck on full blast. It's July. It's 95 degrees outside, and your heating system is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your house is an oven. That's exactly what chronic stress does to your cortisol system. The emergency response never shuts off. Brilliant system for escaping a tiger, catastrophic system for modern life. Because your body cannot tell the difference between a tiger chasing you and a stressful email, a terrible commute, or, and this is the critical part, a diet that's starving you. In 2010, researchers at UCLA ran a landmark experiment. They took 121 women and split them into 4 groups for 3 weeks. Some restricted calories to 1,200 per day. Some just tracked their calories. Some did both, and some ate normally. The results were stunning. The women who restricted their calories showed a significant increase in cortisol output. Their bodies were pumping out more stress hormone around the clock. But here's the part that shocked the researchers. Even the women who only tracked their calories, without restricting, experienced higher perceived stress. The mere act of obsessing over food was enough to trigger a stress response. Here's another way to understand this. Imagine your house has a burglar alarm. Someone accidentally triggers it. The alarm goes off. Police show up. You explain, false alarm. But the alarm doesn't turn off. It keeps blaring all day, all night. After a week, you can't sleep. You can't think. Your neighbors are furious. That's your body on a chronic diet. Your brain pulled the cortisol alarm because it thought there was a famine. And because you're still restricting food, the alarm never gets the all-clear signal. And a 2016 meta-analysis confirmed it across 13 studies and 357 participants. Caloric restriction significantly increases cortisol levels. Fasting showed the strongest effect. Your diet isn't just hard on your willpower, It's literally rewiring your stress response. Now here's where this gets genuinely alarming. Most cortisol videos talk about belly fat and cravings. I need to tell you about what's happening inside your skull. Deep in your brain sits a structure called the hippocampus. It's your brain's memory center and emotional regulator, and it is packed with cortisol receptors. That makes it uniquely vulnerable to stress damage. Think of your hippocampus like your phone's battery. Every stress cycle drains it. Normally, you recharge overnight with quality sleep, but chronic cortisol is like running GPS, streaming video, and 50 background apps all night long. You wake up at 30%. And here's the scary part. Over time, the battery itself degrades. It doesn't just drain faster, it physically holds less charge. That's hippocampal atrophy. Your brain literally loses its capacity to store memories and regulate your emotions. Researchers at Washington University used MRI brain scans to study women with a history of chronic stress and depression. What they found was disturbing. These women had hippocampal volumes 9 to 13% smaller than healthy controls. The more episodes of chronic stress, the more the brain had shrunk. And a landmark study published in Nature Neuroscience tracked healthy elderly adults over 5 years. The ones whose cortisol levels rose the most over that period, they had the greatest hippocampal shrinkage and the worst memory decline. Cortisol wasn't just correlated with brain atrophy, it predicted it. Imagine your hippocampus as a garden. Normally, new plants grow every day. That's neurogenesis, the birth of new brain cells. Cortisol is like acid rain falling on that garden. The existing plants wilt and shrink back. New seedlings die before they can even sprout. Over months and years, what was once a lush, thriving garden becomes a barren, shrunken patch of dirt. That's what chronic stress does to the part of your brain responsible for memory and mood. So let me connect the dots. Chronic dieting raises cortisol. Chronic cortisol shrinks your hippocampus. A shrunken hippocampus impairs your mood regulation, making depression and anxiety worse. Depression increases stress. More stress means more cortisol. More cortisol means more belly fat, more cravings, more brain shrinkage. It's not a cycle, it's a death spiral. Let me show you the full picture of what I call the four-headed monster. The 4 ways cortisol destroys you simultaneously. Head 1. The belly. High cortisol triggers cravings for sugar and fat, your brain's desperate attempt to get quick energy. Simultaneously, it tells your body to store calories as visceral fat, the dangerous inflammatory fat that wraps around your organs. It's like a squirrel that heard a rumor about the longest winter in history. It starts frantically burying acorns everywhere, in the yard, in the walls, under the furniture. That's your body hoarding fat. It's not broken. It's doing exactly what evolution programmed it to do. It just has the wrong information. Head 2. The mood. Chronic cortisol suppresses serotonin and dopamine, your brain's feel-good chemicals. Think of it like this. Your brain has a happiness faucet. Normally, it flows freely. Cortisol is slowly tightening that faucet down to a drip. You can still feel moments of joy, but they're weaker and shorter. Meanwhile, the anxiety dial is turned all the way up. The diet you started to feel better is chemically making you feel worse. Head 3. The sleep. Cortisol is supposed to peak in the morning and drop at night. Chronic elevation flattens this rhythm. It's like having a neighbor who blasts music at random hours, sometimes 2 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m. You never know when you'll actually get peace. Your body loses the ability to predict when rest is coming. Poor sleep then raises cortisol further the next day, one of the most vicious subcycles in all of human physiology. Head 4. The willpower drain. Your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, the part responsible for self-control and good decisions, is impaired by chronic cortisol. Imagine trying to do your taxes while someone is screaming in your ear and shaking your desk. That's what it's like trying to make healthy choices when cortisol has hijacked your prefrontal cortex. The very mental faculty you need to stick to your diet is being degraded by the stress of the diet itself. This is why trying harder is the worst possible advice. Now here's what you came for. I'm going to give you a specific 5-day protocol based on the research we just covered. This isn't about starving yourself or meditating for an hour. These are small, targeted interventions designed to signal safety to your nervous system. Here's the protocol. Day 1. The morning light reset. Within 30 minutes of waking up, get outside for a 10-minute walk in natural sunlight. No sunglasses. Research shows that morning light exposure helps calibrate your cortisol awakening response, the natural cortisol spike that's supposed to happen in the morning and then decline throughout the day. When this rhythm is healthy, evening cortisol drops properly and you sleep better. A 10-minute morning walk does 3 things at once: light exposure, gentle movement, and what Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman calls optic flow, the visual streaming of your environment past you as you walk, which independently calms stress circuits in the brain. Think of it like a clock that's been running haywire, hands spinning in random directions. Morning sunlight is the reset button that gets those hands ticking in the right rhythm again. 10 minutes, no equipment, completely free. Day 2. Feed the signal, not the fear. Stop counting calories. I know that sounds radical, but remember, the UCLA study proved that calorie monitoring alone increases perceived stress. Instead, add 300 to 500 calories of nutrient-dense food back into your day. Specifically, 2 eggs cooked in butter or olive oil at breakfast, a handful of walnuts as a mid-afternoon snack, a sweet potato with dinner. These aren't cheat foods, they're cortisol-lowering foods. The fats signal satiety. The complex carbs help your brain produce serotonin. The whole foods tell your hypothalamus, the famine is over, you're safe. Here's how to think about this. Imagine you have a paranoid boss who's convinced the company is going bankrupt. Every day he's slashing budgets, hoarding office supplies, and firing people. That's your hypothalamus on a diet. It thinks there's a famine, so it hoards fat and slashes your energy budget. Now imagine walking into his office and showing him a full bank account and a stack of new signed contracts. He calms down. He puts down the red pen. He starts hiring again. That's what eating nutrient-dense food does for your brain. You're showing your hypothalamus the proof that the famine is over. Day 3. The 10-minute nervous system reset. At some point between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., when your afternoon cortisol dip naturally occurs, do a 10-minute non-sleep deep rest protocol, also known as yoga nidra. Lie down, close your eyes, and follow a guided body scan. You don't need to meditate. You don't need to clear your mind. Just lie there and follow instructions. You know when your computer gets sluggish because you've got 47 tabs and 12 apps running? You restart it and everything runs smooth again. That's what 10 minutes of yoga nidra does for your nervous system. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode, and helps restore the natural cortisol decline that chronic stress has flattened. Search Yoga Nidra 10 minutes on YouTube. It's free. Day 4. Targeted supplementation. Add 600 milligrams of ashwagandha root extract per day, 300 milligrams morning, 300 milligrams evening. In a 2012 double-blind, placebo-controlled trial published in the Indian Journal of Psychological Medicine, 300 milligrams of full-spectrum ashwagandha root extract twice daily for 60 days reduced serum cortisol by 27.9%, compared to just 7.9% in the placebo group. A 2025 meta-analysis across multiple randomized controlled trials confirmed these cortisol-lowering effects are statistically significant. Think of ashwagandha like an umbrella in a rainstorm. It doesn't stop the rain, it stops the rain from soaking you. The stressors in your life are still there, but your body's cortisol response to those stressors gets dialed way down. Look for KSM-66 or Sensoril. These are the standardized extracts used in the actual clinical research. As always, consult your doctor before starting any supplement. Day 5. The anti-cortisol evening. This day is about what you remove. After 7 p.m., no intense exercise, no doom scrolling, and no blue light from screens within 60 minutes of bed. Replace all 3 with one thing: a 20-minute walk after dinner, ideally outside. Your evening routine is a dimmer switch. Right now, your cortisol light is stuck on full brightness at 11 p.m. Each part of this evening protocol turns the dimmer down one notch. No hit, that's removing a cortisol spike. No doom scrolling. That's removing a stress trigger. No blue light. That's removing a melatonin blocker. The sunset walk. That's actively anchoring your circadian clock. Think of it as bookending your day. Morning light to set the cortisol rise, evening light to signal the decline. After these 5 days, you don't stop. You keep going. The morning walk becomes a habit. The real food stays. The evening wind down becomes your routine. You're not on a diet anymore. You're running a cortisol management protocol. And that shift in framing changes everything. I want to leave you with the most important finding in all of this research. Remember the brain shrinkage I told you about? Remember the dying garden? It's reversible. In a study published in Biological Psychiatry, researchers studied patients with chronically elevated cortisol. After treatment that successfully lowered their cortisol levels, brain scans showed hippocampal volume increased by up to 10%. The amount of brain recovery was directly proportional to how much cortisol decreased. Lower cortisol, bigger brain. It's that direct. When you stop the acid rain, the garden grows back. New neurons sprout. New connections form. Your brain is not permanently damaged. Your metabolism is not permanently broken. Your body is not working against you. It's working exactly as designed. It just needs a different signal. Not restriction, not deprivation, not willpower. Safety. If this changed the way you think about dieting and stress, hit subscribe, because next week, I'm going deep on the 5 foods that lower cortisol the fastest, backed by clinical research, not influencer hype. Drop a comment below telling me, what's your biggest source of daily stress? I read every single one. And if someone you know is stuck in the diet stress cycle, send them this video. It might be the thing that finally breaks them free. Thanks for watching. Take care of your brain. It's the only one you've got.